Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I'm your host, Glenn Poole Harding. And tonight, we have a very special guest. This New York City baller did not play high school ball like most of us, but was given the opportunity by the legendary Riverside Church to play AAU basketball. Opportunities like working at five-star basketball camp led him to land a scholarship and become number 2 in the country in three-point field goal percentage for Division II basketball. And now he volunteers as coach of the Brooklyn Kings AAU basketball team. Help me welcome CW Post great Pete Johnson.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have stepped out into the world of chaos, where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Oh man, you know when it cleaned up nice, my brother.
Yes, sir. That soap and water is good. That soap and water is good.
That's right. Well, I want to start things off by asking you what I ask everyone come on the show.
Okay.
Who introduced you to the game?
Who introduced me to the game? I think early on, man, there were 2 cats in my neighborhood. I grew up in downtown Brooklyn. So I grew up, no matter where everybody thought I was from, I grew up on Bergen and Nevins. So there was a brother named Jerry Ice Reynolds who lived a block behind me. And then to the right, there was another brother named Beetle Washington. So they kind of introduced me to it because there was a place called Colony House, which was a community center that we all used to go to. So I would go there when I was still playing baseball. And I was like, yo, I want to do what those dudes are doing. That dude is tough. And Beetle was, I was like in the 7th grade. Beetle was about my height, but Beetle was still getting busy. So I was like, I want to be like that guy. That guy is serious. So I could truly say, man, that they are some of the brothers that really introduced me to the game, man. They really
I had Ice on the show. Was fortunate enough to have Ice on the show. He's somebody who I looked up to growing up as well. Cool brother, man. Indeed. That was a pleasure just to watch these guys in their younger years do their thing.
Indeed.
Yeah. So what was the first team you was on?
So one of the first teams that I was on, man, there was a basketball camp that came to the neighborhood at Colony House that Dean Meminger had. So that was the first team I was on. And I couldn't really dribble. I didn't really understand, all the schematics of basketball, but I could always shoot. So Dean was like, I like you, young man. You work hard, you dive on the floor. And so that was probably 7th grade is when I started. So I played with Dean Meminger and with the Colony House team, which was a local team.
Wow. So at that time, you already answered my question. I was going to ask you who's the best player in your neighborhood. You grew up around Beetle Washington and Jerry Ice Reynolds.
Oh,
not too many people can say that.
No, for sure. For sure. They were legit.
Definitely. So who did you look up to? Beetle was the guy that you looked up to? Since y'all was like close in height range?
Right. So Beetle was one of the guys. There was another guy. So if you I'm sure you remember the group Houdini. So I'm sure you remember the group Houdini. So what a lot of brothers don't remember is that there's a brother whose government name, as we say, is John Fletcher. So John Fletcher was Ecstasy from Houdini.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yo, I knew he played ball for some reason.
Yeah, he did. So he played for LaSalle. So he was one of the other cats in the neighborhood that was kind of nice because, there's a 1 block difference between Wyckoff and Gowanus. So I used to watch him go up against Beetle all the time. So I was like, yo, this dude is an MC and he could play ball. I'm like, yo, I like Beetle, but this guy is different. And then when I saw them on TV, I was like, yo, that's that guy. That's Fletcher. So,
Wow, that's
they
for
let me
a
block
first
him.
right here. Legendary Houdini, ecstasy.
For sure.
The guy with the hat, just in case y'all guys don't know, he was the guy wearing the hat all the time in the group.
For sure.
Cool.
For sure. So he was tough.
We got James Majors in the building. He want to let you know. He said, what's up? Bishop Lachlan
that's my guy.
is representing.
That's my guy. Yo, I got something to say about him, man. That's my guy. I got some stuff I ain't never say to his face that he needs to hear, man.
And he's listening right now, brother. So give my man James his flowers, man.
So let me tell you something, man. So I used to watch his work ethic, and I would watch the way he shot the ball. And one of the things that I remember, I know we're moving ahead, but one of the things that I remember when I was at Bishop Lachlan was that James always shot the same shot. So whether somebody was trying to trip him, whether they were talking about his mother, whether they were throwing stuff at him, he always shot the same shot. And so I know the Wheeler brothers and I know Mark Jackson get a lot of credit, but I was there. So I was at Lachlan. So he knows I know. So he knows I know that they couldn't have won the state championship in '83 if not for him, because his jump shot was solid. So I wanted to shoot. I was like, I want to shoot like that guy, like that guy. And also, like if James said, he could probably tell you about this. I remember one time we were in gym class and James was standing underneath the rim with his socks on and jumped up and dunked the ball backwards. I was like, oh my goodness, who is this guy? Like who?
That's crazy, yo.
Who is this guy right here?
That's crazy.
And as James would tell you, there was another kid on the team named Ernesto Wilson. And Ernesto had crazy bounce. But James was like, he was a freak of nature, man. It was just like, yo, this dude, you see how this dude shoots the ball? And they'd be like, oh, he's mechanical. And I'm like, but it's mechanically going in, though, right? It's going in when he's doing that, right?
Salute my guy, James Majors. Got my guy, Gerald Green in the building. What's up, G? Yo, James, Gerald, your pictures all went out, so you should be getting them soon. And please, all I ask, 30-second video. My name Gerald Green, and I was on Basketball Heads. Same thing with everybody else.
Okay.
But definitely, man, I appreciate that. And yours getting done right now, my brother.
Okay.
So what was it like for you attending Bishop Lachlan, and how do you not make the team? Well, let me just say this.
Okay.
I don't want to say how, because New York City basketball was tough back then, and I'm surprised I made Lincoln. So I'm not going to say how didn't you make the team. What happened?
So I was recruited to Lachlan to play baseball. And so I played for a team in Brooklyn called the Bonnies.
Yes, yes.
So
you should know, let me say that, I don't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
My guy, Artie Williams.
Okay.
Artie Williams.
Okay.
Been down coach with the Bonnies for a very long time.
Okay.
Salute, Artie Williams. Go ahead.
So when I was coming up, like in the 8th grade, I wasn't a pitcher, but they had run out of pitchers. We were playing this team called Youth Service. So Youth Service had
Youth Service. Ooh, I remember Youth Service.
Named Sean Dunston. Sean Dunston got drafted out of Thomas Jefferson High School right around the time that Sid Green was playing at Thomas Jefferson High School before he went to UNLV. So this coach saw me play, man, and he's the only, Sean Dunston's the only one I saw hit a home run over the fence at parade grounds.
Wow.
He was a pro in high school. So that's why he got drafted out of high school. So I come to Lachlan, and, I'm like, okay, I play basketball a little bit, but I'm not the guy. And the other kids that are coming in, they're coming from the Broncos and from Riverside and from the Gauchos and, from Vanguard and all these other teams. And they have these little cliques. So when I go to the freshman coach and I say, hey, listen, can I try out for the basketball team? And he said, oh, we already got the team. So I'm like, how do you already have the team? The tryouts didn't happen yet. So he said, well, we already had the team. So they had tryouts at the same time that I had baseball practice, so I couldn't be there. So I was just like, oh man. So they put the names of the team. So the cats was walking around like, yo, we nice, we on the team, we this. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna do that. Plus the other thing is that no girls came to the baseball games. So at Laughlin, we had 50 cheerleaders and 40 boosters. So I'm like, you don't want to play that? I want to be there because all the cute girls is there and they rock him. It's all so James is a year older than me, so it's just like, oh man, I got to be there and watch that and see this. And so I worked hard over that summer as a freshman, and then I made the team on JV. So when I was a sophomore, Mark Jackson was a senior and James Majors was a junior. So people talked to me about it. I remember this young lady trying to argue with me about, she said, oh, Mark Jackson went to Malloy. And I'm like, I went to school with him. He didn't go. I was there with, what are you talking about? So, you just listen. It's kind of like growing up, no matter where I went, they asked me if I had a little brother named Mo Kirby. And I'm like, we all came up together. We favor each other. We looked alike. We played similarly. But Mo is not my family. And I love him and I miss him. But
yes, love Mo Kirby, yes.
But like Mo we weren't related, even though we ran together in the same circle. So so the summer of my freshman year, after my summer year, I started playing for the Broncos. And so the Broncos had like a little crew. They had a cat from Laughlin named Emil Blackman, who also played on the team. He graduated with James Majors. And Mark Bryant played for the Broncos. He used to come from New Jersey over to play with the Broncos. And another tough dude that I used to kind of study, like, we're in a classroom, that played for the Broncos. And he said, listen, if you don't ever make your high school team, you could still go do this. And I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, man, don't get caught up in the politics. You keep working. And his name was Mousy McFadden. So, the
great Mousy McFadden, who we need to get in contact with him because I would love to interview him for Basketball Heads.
Come on,
so
man.
if you got to contact or connect, make that happen.
Okay, so like Mousy didn't play on his high school team. He played for the Broncos.
Yeah, I know. That's another reason why I want to get him on here. Definitely,
so
yeah.
He played for the Broncos, and he went straight from the Broncos to Cleveland State and killed everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. So, you had so-and-so who's a McDonald's All-American. He's all this and he's all that. And Mousy killing you. So what happened? So I had that kind of, as an upbringing. So my sophomore year, Mark Jackson's a senior, James is a junior. We win the state championship at Laughlin, right? So at that time, I went with my boy, Pat Burke. He brought me up to Riverside Church. So he was like, yo, Ernie Lorch was like,
salute Pat Burke.
Oh, man. So we get up there. He's like, yo, I like the way you shoot that ball, young man. I was like, thank you. So I was one of the kids who actually played defense up there. So he was like, you play defense too? He was like, okay. He was like, all right, well, we're going to give you a test run. So he put me on the B team at Riverside, right? So I go up there. I'm on the team. And then I remember, because this is all during the season, right? While we're playing at Laughlin. Because we used to play right either after varsity or before, I forget. So we go through all this stuff, right? And so I'm up there. I'm like, all right. So I get a little call from the bursar's office downstairs. And they're like, your mother wants to talk to you. And I was like, oh, no, am I in trouble? What did I do? I didn't do anything. Everything is cool. So I go downstairs, and my mom's on the phone. And she's like, what's the matter? Didn't you give them my tuition check? They're saying that they don't want to take my check. And I was like, Mom, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I was like, why aren't you guys taking my mother's check? She said, the money's there. She said, son, you played for Riverside Church. Your tuition is taken care of. So I said, okay. I said, Mom, remember when I told you that Riverside Church is a big thing? I said, yeah. I said, they're paying our tuition now, so I'm going to bring your check back home. So that's when I first realized, I was like, wait a minute. This is like serious stuff. So then when I started moving forward and going to the church more after our season was over and after varsity won the state championship, that's when I would see Mark Jackson around, and I would see Chris Mullen and Walter Berry and, my John. That's what John was up there, and Derek Cheevius, man, and Joe Green and John Morton. I think that, like, especially with TJ Carlissimo, he took James Majors first, and then he just took our whole Riverside team. Because it was Darryl Walker, Joe Green, John Morton.
That's right. Yeah.
We were all on the same team. And it was like A, B. So, and then after a while, they didn't call it A and B. We were all interchangeable parts. So it was like Stu Barnett played on this team this time. Then another time it was another one. Then it was Paco. Then it was Carlton Screen. Then it was Moses Scurry would play with us on another team. Then it was Antoine Lewis.
Oh, all of my guys. Just salute to my guy Stu Barnett. He just started following me. So appreciate you, Stu. We're gonna get you on here soon.
Stu, let me tell you something, man. When I went to tryouts, and Pat Burke always tells the story for me. I remember playing defense, blocking a couple of shots. You know, I blocked Stu's shot a couple of times. And then one time we were going, so you know how small the gym is at Riverside, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
I'm running down the court, man, and I'm like, I see Pat pull up. So I'm like, yo, you this little dude running up the court. You ain't running up? Man, I'm about to punch your stuff all over the backboard. Yo, Stu jumps up, and his shorts are about where my head is. And he dunked it on me so crazily that Mr. Lorch was like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. No more. That's enough. So we really had players kind of top to bottom that could go. And so to answer your initial question, so my junior year, I go to tryouts, I'm there. And while I'm at tryouts, there's a brother who, I don't know if James remembers this, but there's a brother, his friend named Mike, who elbowed me in my mouth. So elbowed me in my teeth. I had 3 teeth swinging, man. I was like, I can't believe this, man. I wanted to make the team. So my junior year, I didn't get an opportunity to play. So once I healed up, they had already had the team. They were doing their thing. That was James' senior year, right? So I figured, okay, my senior year, when I came back, Quigley's going to give me an opportunity. I'm going to go in there, you know, like I'm killing Buffalo over the summer. You know what I'm saying? I'm with G Green. I'm with Stu one day. I'm with Ice Leslie one day. Me and Mo Scurry one day. Like John is coming to our games. You know, I'm playing with Anthony DaCosta. You know, Mr. Lorch is telling me I'm guarding Rod Strickland. I'm scared to death, but I got to guard Rod. It's Rod. Like, it was the Gauchos. It was Rod Strickland, Boo Harvey, Lloyd Daniels, Chris Brooks.
I remember. Yeah, it's crazy.
Buck Cadle, Buck from Westinghouse.
Yeah.
Who went to LIU. And like some other kids Tip. I can't forget Tip Dog. Oh my goodness. Tip was a pro. I don't know, when he was 13. I don't know. He was
right.
Tip and Mike Boogie. Mike Boogie is the only one that I ever saw make Rod Strickland do a split. A split, not like he was on ice skates. Like a split. The referee couldn't make a call. He almost swallowed the whistle. Because Mike Boogie was kind of the booger of the
yes of that time. Yes
you couldn't get it from Mike. Couldn't get it from Mike. And Tip, you know, so that was like kind of the Uptown crew, but they had all played together for years, and I didn't know that. So to answer your question, coming into my senior year, I had a couple of choices. Mr. Lorch pulled me aside. He said, you can go to Cheshire Academy, you can go to St. Johnsbury, or another school. Don't go back to Laughlin. Quigley is going to jerk you around. I was like, nah, man, them dudes ain't that good. I'm going to go back there. I'm going to show them what it is and blah, blah, blah. And then around the same time, Ted Augustus was like, what you think about Nazareth? But they had invoked this thing called the Chris Mullen rule, which meant that you couldn't.
Because you went from Powell Memorial to Zavarian, yes.
Right. So you couldn't go from one Catholic school to another school and play right away. And I hear people talk all of this, you know, Chris Mullen as Zavarian, but what about Chris Mullen with Mario Ellie at Powell Memorial?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So I go back to Laughlin. They have tryouts. You know, I'm not killing buffalo, but I'm killing deer maybe. And then, but Quigley had already had his team together. So I'm going through that, and I'm like, okay. So one of my good friends, Pastor Omar Morton. So Omar is Tiny's first cousin.
I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you're talking about. I know Mr. Morton very well. I know the family very well.
So
yes.
Omar also has a younger brother named Kwame.
Kwame, who will be on here soon. Yes.
Kwame
will be on here soon.
Kwame went on to lead the country in scoring at Clarion.
Yep.
He went to Lafayette, I think. So
Yep.
my senior year, Omar Martin was the starting point guard. And he played in the backcourt with one of my other good friends who's also a pastor. And I just couldn't understand, like, the politics of the basketball. And I was just like, okay. Like, because I'm saying some of the guys that are on the team here can't make my Riverside team. So how is that possible? So I said, somebody asked me why I wasn't on the team. And I say I wasn't good enough, so I played with the McDonald's All-Americans at Riverside. Like, what else am I going to say? You know, like, I was salty, man. I was like, yo, man, this is crazy. This ain't supposed to be, man. Yo,
Right.
So,
well, let me just say this. My guy Pat Alphonse is in the building. Your guy Stu Barnett just said what's up to you.
Okay.
He said you should have went to St. Johnsbury.
Yo, Stu ain't passed the ball, though. He ain't passed the ball. Yo, Stu, give me the rock. I'm open. He wanted me to go up there in Vermont and freeze to death with him. But, yo, you know what's crazier, though? Like, so when we were speaking of, like, John and those guys, because I saw that you had John on. John was at Talent Time. I didn't know John was from Brooklyn.
From Brevoort, born in Brevoort, yeah.
I didn't know, because I'm like, wait, you going to Talent Time? Talent Time is in the Bronx, B. Like,
I didn't know either. Trust me. I didn't know. I thought he's from the Bronx as well.
Right. Like, you would be like, and you know the person that
Riverside, the Riverside connection.
Right. So, you know, with Riverside, one of the other things, you know, the person that told me, so we used to battle a little bit against Silk and Spice, and I call him Spios Kilpatrick. That's his government. But, yo, with Silk and Spice, so they talk about him, but the guy that actually told me was Kenny Parker.
Kenny, my guy, who's supposed to be on here.
Right,
Kenny.
okay.
Well, listen,
so I got
he'll get on here
soon.
soon.
But remember,
yeah, that's my guy.
Kenny Parker is KRS-One's brother.
Listen, brother, I played at Lincoln.
Okay.
I was a freshman and Kenny was a senior.
Okay. So he was the one that said, nah.
I'm a Lincoln guy, yeah.
He's the one that told you, he was like, nah, John's from Brooklyn. So I'm like, yo, man. So I'm watching all these dudes play.
They went to junior high school together.
Okay. So
at Walt Whitman.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm watching all these guys, and you know, at Riverside, it's kind of a revolving. When I say revolving door, I mean like you're seeing like pros playing. So the older team was Steve Burke and Tony Hargraves. That whole team went to Iona with Gary Springer. And Kenny Hutchinson,
that's
played in
word. That's real.
So Omar and I used to go uptown to watch Benjamin Franklin play, and Kenny Hutch was up there putting in work. Like, you know, Mark Jackson and I had this thing going back and forth, and I was like, yo, Mark. So when Mark came over to Riverside his senior year, Mark was on the B team. Kenny Hutchinson and Kenny Smith were in the backcourt. Olden Polynice was the center. I was there. I didn't read it in a book. I was there. Riverside's not that big, bro. It's not that big. That's not to say Mark couldn't play. I'm just saying that, yo, like, he wasn't on the main thing. And the pieces were interchangeable. You know, that's just like with the guy, what's his name? True Carter, who played uptown, who had the brother BJ. They used to call him El Presidente uptown. You know, remember, I'm a Brooklyn guy that played a lot uptown. So it was just like I had an opportunity to play against different people. And what I realized is I didn't have to be better than all the other people. I just had to do my thing. Like all of the stuff that Rod Strickland and Boo Harvey did, I couldn't do that, but I didn't have to. If you let me, I was going to shoot your face off. It was going to be a long night. You was going to need Excedrin. Do they still make Excedrin? It was going to be some Excedrin and some other stuff because I was coming for your head.
Right.
I'm sorry. I hope I answered your question.
No. That was cool. And you actually answered a couple of questions. Who did you style your game after?
There couldn't be one person, man. And I think that I could tell you this to be honest, man. I caught a little flack at Laughlin because Pearl Washington was one of my heroes, man. And remember, how is Pearl going to be my hero if I go to Laughlin where Mark Jackson is? So I know my high school coach didn't like that, but I had never seen anything like Pearl in my life. Like
Who have at that time?
Like who was doing that? Nobody was doing that. Nobody. Like they were like, oh yeah, like we didn't, there wasn't Instagram. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have, like, when you went out there, it was just like, yo, you gonna guard Pearl? Yo, that's Pearl? That's Pearl. And
Right.
Pearl was like we got a lot tighter in the later years, but Pearl was like one of the nicest guys in the world, man. Real cool, real easy. And I would just watch
And humble. I heard
man.
when he was working in a junior high school, he wouldn't even put any pictures up of himself.
Right.
Like he didn't want people to know. And I heard once he did that, kids would just be around the office all the time because they didn't know.
Right.
And sometimes we got to share that with the kids.
Right.
And this is why I wanted to start with the OGs first.
Okay.
Right? Because this is a high school basketball format.
Right.
This is why I start from the beginning. But also I wanted to make sure that the young guys can go back and watch some of the interviews of the older guys in the old New York so they can kind of blend it, right? Because we can't bring back the old New York, right? It's gone.
Right.
But what we can do is bridge the gaps so at least the young kids can take bits and pieces from you guys and add it to their game.
Well, I hope that they need that, man. I mean, my younger son is about to go to a school, and I won't say the school, but I will tell you this. There's 75,000 AAU teams, 75 trillion of them. And half the kids can't dribble with their left hand, or they can't finish, or they're about whatever the gear is, or whatever the, thing is. And nobody really wants to work. And there are workouts and there are other things. But I don't think that they're students of the game.
Right.
Like I went to go watch Beetle and Ice play. Like I remember I was heartbroken because Beetle and Ice had beaten Zavarian 2 times in a row. And then Zavarian with Chris Mullen and Roger McCready beat them for the state championship, man, in 1981. Like I saw that. And I was like, yo, how could they lose? And the other guard was Cosell Brown. Like yeah, man. I don't think they understand, man. Like everybody, you couldn't take days off.
They had to take a day off to lose. They lost to Chris Mullen and Stu Granger, right?
Right.
Who else did they have?
Talking about Zavarian or?
Yes.
They had I forget that they had a white kid that was a point guard. He was tough. I forget his name. But I talked to Roger McCready yesterday. Roger McCready was a Big East All-American at Boston College. The point guard was Michael Adams.
Oh, excuse me. Roger McCready played with Chris Mullen, right?
Roger McCready played with Chris Mullen as Zavarian, not Stu Granger. Yeah.
Got you.
Roger McCready was all everything, B. He was in the Big East when the Big East was tough, B. Like with Pearl and Mark and,
Right.
Like even I got a call the other day from Kevin Williams, man. Kevin
From Bircham?
Yeah, man. You remember Kevin?
That's my guy. He's still a pastor?
He is.
That's my guy, yo.
Kevin left Bircham to go to Chicago.
Yes.
Played with Marcus Liberty.
Yes.
Then he left there to go to Cincinnati. We were all on the same Riverside team. Like that.
That's crazy.
You had to do work.
So check this out. We come to the point in the interview where I ask everyone.
Okay.
Right? Comes a point in time when you're playing against people that you're competing against. Mano a mano. And for you, who couldn't play high school basketball like most of us, I know you had a little chip on your shoulder.
Oh, for sure.
Right? So, who ass did you bust to let you know that you could play with the big boys?
I don't know. Wait, let me see how long a piece of. Let me see.
brother, I need you to give it up because I know you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
To see these guys playing high school basketball. No, I'm gonna run into you in the summertime. I'm gonna run into you in All City. right? It's citywide. I'm gonna run into you on Elm Call, Boys of Yesteryear. I may see you a Soul in the Hole.
Yeah.
Who was that guy, man, who got that business?
I think the first one that I could think of, man, he's a cool guy and we cool, but there was a cat that was at Lockland who was on the team, and he used to talk real crazy, man. Like, he was like, yo, you ain't even on the team and blah, blah, blah. So this wasn't even at a tournament. We both went on a recruiting trip to a school called Mount St. Mary's, and his name is Billy Mitchell, right? So he's like, yo, you go from Lockland, yo, we should play on the same team. And I'd be like, nah, player, you've been talking greasy. Like, so let me see what you working with, B. So he was like, nah, let's just play. So he was like, all right, Pete Johnson over here, Billy Mitchell over there. And, you know, we played kind of a pickup game to, I don't know, to 40, let's say. And I think I had 36 on him, man. And he was grabbing me, and, you know, so he's one of the people from Lockland. But the other people, man, were kind of like, what's my man's name from Christ the King? Anthony DaCosta. Because he was looking for the Pete Johnson from freshman year. And then he got
okay.
one that had played against the Gauchos and against Master Rob, you know, and against, you know, Mike Boogie and all them other people. And,
right.
So it's just like, when we out here with the whistle, you know, your boys ain't around right now. So, like, I'm going to let you hold this. And actually, Anthony DaCosta played with Dedrick Irving, with Kyrie's father, at Boston University. So he was a Christ the King.
Need to get him up here. Need to get Dedrick Irving up here.
Yeah, we could.
That's why I need to get up here.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do that.
Definitely.
But those are
I need to get some more Bronx. I need to get some more Bronx guys. I don't want any of my guys from uptown saying, yo, you interview a lot of guys from Brooklyn.
Oh, man.
I'm just connected to a lot of guys in Brooklyn because I'm from Brooklyn.
Right.
But I want to get out to the rest of the boroughs. Staten Island, I want to hit up. Got some people out on Long Island already. So I just want to make sure we are all represented.
Can I say something about Long Island? One of the things that I did not know, man. So one of the things that Pat Burke brought up to me and that we were discussing a few days ago was the fact that on our teams at Riverside, we had 3 different people that either went to the Final Four, the NCAA championship, or won a championship.
Wow.
So Moses Scurry won a championship with UNLV in 1990. Yep. Gerald Green and the whole rest of the Riverside crew lost the national championship to Michigan in 1989. And then Paco.
That's right. Providence.
Backcourt with Billy Donovan. And when you talk about Long Island, Billy Donovan was a bad white boy, man. He was a bad boy, man. He didn't back down.
This nigga didn't come, excuse me, and I didn't want to use the N-word like that towards him, but Billy Donovan name come up again. How many times? Wow.
Billy Donovan.
Let me tell you something. Yeah. If Billy Donovan don't get on basketball heads for all the people that have been talking about him, there's going to be a crying shame.
Billy Donovan is I saw Billy Donovan work out Kenny Smith a couple of times. And Kenny, you know, as James would tell you, like, Kenny used to dunk on Mark Jackson like he owed him money or something. And I think that between him and the Wheeler brothers, though, the Wheeler brothers were tough, man. The Wheeler brothers were tough. So I heard. Go back just for 1 second. I'll only take like 20 seconds. So because I didn't play high school basketball, like Pat Burke and I didn't play our senior years in high school.
Yes,
we were playing for the church.
Right.
So when we were playing for the church, we were scrimmaging Princeton and Yale and Columbia. Mr. Lorch was setting that up. And collegiate, and they were looking at us, you know, as potential students there. And so I got a chance to play against Kenny Wheeler while I was still in high school because Kenny Wheeler played at Yale. So Kenny Wheeler was at Yale with Earl Graves Jr., whose his father owned Black Enterprise, and with Chris.
Yes.
Davis. So, and Kenny and Billy had crazy bounce, yo. Just crazy. I mean, they were 6'2", 6'3", playing power forward.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were. So I just remember it was tough. But Billy
Donovan, I thought there was a lot taller than that.
No, they're not, man. I was just with them.
You know, I'm younger, so when you hear about these guys, you know. Oh, man.
They weren't that big. Brother James Majors could tell you they weren't that big, man.
Yes. Stu Barnett said Joe Green came to see him this weekend.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What up? What up, Trey? I see my guy Trey in the building.
Okay.
All right, cool. That's definitely. Yo, Stu, hit me up with my DM, man. Let's set something up. So let's get to how did you end up at CW Post?
So the way I ended up, that'll take me about a minute, right? So I played at St. Francis, New York first. So remember.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only guy at my high school that's not on the team, and I get a Division I scholarship. Mr. Lorch.
Salute.
So they telling me I can't play, blah, 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 because they got the clique, right? But I'm not part of the clique. So he said, and the way I arrived there, I didn't go straight there. So Mr. Lorch, because he was smart, he said to me, listen, so you remember when they had that thing called Proposition 48?
Yep, I was one. Yep. Right,
I was one too. So, but here's the difference. Like, so I don't know what your situation was, but I had a 74 average, and I got a 1410 on the SAT. So they said, you're just not doing it because you don't want to. But I was on the bowling team. I played handball. I did everything, baseball, all this other stuff. So Mr. Lorch says he gets me on the phone with Jim Valvano, who was the coach at NC State.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen, my brother's going to take the job at St. Francis College in New York. And he hasn't seen you play, but I heard you can play, so I want you to go there. So I go to St. Francis. I'm there. It's kind of like 13th grade. It's not even college. It's like, this is college. Like I can walk home. Like, so I was there, and we had like 17,000 guards. And so there was a brother named Darwin Purdy who came up with a point guard named Rodney Henry. Now, Rodney, I think he's a state trooper now in Delaware. Really nice guy, not a good basketball player. But they came as a package to St. Francis. So it didn't matter what I did. Like, this dude couldn't guard me. He tried to guard me full court, and I would rush by, stop at full court, at half court, and wait for him. He wasn't really a basketball player. He's a nice guy, though. Like, he should have run for office or something. So I'm there, and I'm sitting on the bench behind this guy, and, like, he's not good. So I'm like, why am I staying here? So I got in my feelings, and I'm like, yo, I'm going to leave. I'm so-and-so. So I bounced around a little bit to a couple of schools, and then I went to see Mr. Lorch. Mr. Lorch said, you know what? Go work at 5-Star. When I went to work at 5-Star, everything changed. So I was like, okay. So all of a sudden, I was tough at 5-Star. So I'm playing against guys at 5-Star that I'm seeing on TV at Texas. So I'm like, that's Elvin Campbell from Clemson. Wait a minute, that's Eric Mobley from Pitt. Wait a minute, that's Ronnie Moy from Hartford. His roommate is Vin Baker. Wait, that's Joey Wright from Texas. That's what's the coach's name? The former Nets coach that they just fired?
Don't remember his name. Atkinson. Yes.
From Long Island, he played.
That's right, Kenny Atkinson from Long Island.
Played for the University of Richmond.
Yes.
So I even met the Harvard twins, Dana and Ian Smith from Harvard. So I'm there, and I'm like, they like, yo, we like your game, yo. So it went from me, nobody knowing who I was. I was there, and this is at Robert Morris College. So that's when I first met Calipari and first met, all the other, Rick Pitino and all the other guys. They were like, yo. So in an interesting story, I'm going to get right to how I got to CW Post. So I'm there at camp, and I'm like, I got to go in. Like, we could be friends when we get off the court. When we're on the court, I got to let you hold something, B. That's just what it is. And these are some of the top players in the country. So now all of a sudden I can play, and then I win a championship as a coach. And so they say, hey, Pete Johnson, come here. You went to Laughlin, right? Come take a picture with your coach. So I thought they were talking about Mr. Lorch because he was there. And they bring over Patrick Quigley from Laughlin. So he's like, yeah, what are we doing? He was like, yeah, we taking a picture. He's like, Pete just won a championship with his team. He was like, how long has he been able to shoot like that? Did he shoot like that at Lockland? And that's when I first said I wasn't good enough to make the team at Lockland. So I played with the McDonald's All-Americans at Riverside. And so it's like, so again, I went from zero to hero. And so to bring you into CW Post, I had taken a year and a half off to work, kind of, right? And so when Mr. Lorks told me to do that, I did that. So the coach of the University of Alabama said, he pulled me aside. He said, son, I like your game. He's like, and if you come to the University of Alabama, you will never look back. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, University of Alabama, that's cool. So at the time, my girl and I, we had gotten kind of tight. You know, we started dating. I'm like, yo, I think she's the one. And she's now my wife, right? So he said, if you come to the unit, he was like, son, he called me and said, listen, we're ready to offer you right here at 5 Star. And I was like, yo, I got to call my girl because we serious. We going to get engaged, blah. And he said, son, what is your girlfriend major in? And I said, business. He said, is she pregnant? I said, oh, no, sir. He said, okay, well, if you come to the University of Alabama, we'll give her a scholarship too. True story. And I said, I got to call her. I got to let her know I got a so-and-so. And then she said, sweetie, I don't want to go to Alabama, but don't let me stop you. You should go there and so-and-so. So I know if I went to Alabama, that was over. So Robert Holford, the same guy that had recruited me and tried to get me to come to Hofstra when I was at Lockland, had just gotten fired from a job at St. Thomas Aquinas, and he was going to CW Post. But so, you know, with the NCAA, they give you 5 years to play 4.
Right.
So I would have had a year and a half, Division I, Division II, 2 years. That's how I got to CW Post, Robert Holford. So I went there. I played with Tom Galeazzi. Tom had his thing. While I was coming in, Mike Boogie was leaving. And he was like, run the play this way. We had a dude from, they called, Bill Travis wrote an article about us, calling us the Division I rejects. So he's talking crazy about us. You know, we were there. And so we're playing for Galeazzi, and he's asking me to run a play because I'm in a point guard's body, but I've always been a shooting guard. So he's asking me to run the play. I'm running the play. But when the play breaks down because little Timmy and little Wug Wug can't catch the ball or can't do whatever, what you got to do? You got to put in that work and go. So I started doing that as opposed to going to the basket and getting beaten up all the time. I would just back up and shoot the 3. And he was like, that's not the play. I was like, I did the play. It didn't work. So sometimes he took me out of the game a couple of times because on a fast break, like 3-on-2, I would pull up from 3. And I don't know if it was James Majors or Emil Blackman that told me this. He said, it's not chucking when it goes in. So it's not chucking when it goes in. So I had passed.
That's real.
Freshman year and my sophomore year. I was a junior. I'm not passing B. I'm open. I can see the rim. I know where the hash mark is. I watched James Majors when I was growing up in high school. I'm shooting B. If it's going in, I don't want to hear nothing. So I kept shooting the ball, and they ran these plays along. So yeah, I'm sorry, I lost you for a minute.
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you back? Okay. So as the season went along, he started to run plays for me, and he was like, he tried to move me to the 2 spot, and I was like, nah, let me bring it up, because if I could see the court, like I'm not gonna just straight chuck. If somebody's open, I'm gonna hit them, but I knew how to shoot. So he was just like, oh, okay. So towards the middle of the season, he pulled me aside. He was like, yo, he's like, you're third in the country. I don't want this to go to your head, but you're third in Division II and 3-point field goals. And I said, okay, well, what do I need to do to be number one? He said, pass the ball more. I was like, nah, that ain't going to get it. So I think that one of the memorable games that we had, we played Virginia Union at Madison Square Garden. And they had a young brother named A.J. English. And so I remember a couple of the cats that I went to Laughlin with. I'm like, yo, I go to Virginia Union and I go do this and blah, blah, blah. And I think it was Jay-Z that said they got those rap cats that claim their funds are stacked. But when I see them in the street, I don't see none of that. And when we play Virginia Union, I ain't see none of that, B. So I think I dropped 47 on them.
Damn.
And I've got the videotape in case you want to see it. But it was
we want to see it.
Yeah, I hit 11 threes on them.
Yo, upload that to YouTube, man.
Okay. I had 11
For
threes.
sure.
And so by the end of the season, my coach came back to me and he said, yo, you were second in the country in 3-point field goals. And it was like, all right, cool. You know, so yep. Right. I just missed out on what you said. Maybe it's my internet. I don't know.
No, yeah. You're buffering. What I was saying is, not too many people can say that they were top three in anything, right? No. Shooting, scoring. You know, if you have accomplished that on any level, that's still a great accomplishment.
Right. And then, you know, I lived in my parents' house too, so I had a 3.9 GPA too, man. So it was like, it wasn't like, okay, you play basketball, you got a scholarship, you could do what you want to do. And so that'll bring me, so, you know, after my senior year, man, is when I took the LSAT. That's when I thought about law school. When I went to talk to Mr. Lorch, who was a lawyer, you know, and Mr. Lorch went to Virginia Law School. I think that's one of the reasons that Olden Polynice and John went to Virginia.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Lorch went there. So
John said it. He said the reason why he went to Virginia because of Mr. Lorch.
Wow. So, you know, he had talked to me about Virginia, but I knew, like, kind of as an African-American male, you know, I wanted to work in corporate. So I was like, okay, let me apply. So when I took the LSAT, I got a perfect score on it.
Wow, so, congratulations.
So thank you. So I got into a few schools, man. And the one that I accepted was at Columbia. So I went to Columbia Law School. I started there. And when I was there, you know, I made it through on a scholarship. And then the monies that I gotten on the scholarship, you know, they had dried up. So I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna finish law school. This is all crazy. What am I gonna do? I don't have the money to pay, you know, X amount of dollars. So I remember I was just like, yo, what should I do? So I said, yo, let me call Mr. Lorch. You know, he's believed in me. So I called Mr. Lorch up. He tells me to come up there, you know, like on a Thursday. I go up Thursday. He's like, well, bring me your transcripts. I'm like, Mr. Lorch, my money is funny and my change is strange. Yeah, I said I did well in school, but I don't have the money. So he gave me like $20 or something, $40, I don't know what it was. I went over, I got my transcripts, I brought them back. He told me to come back the next day. I came back the next day, I said, Mr. Lorch, here's my transcript. He's like, well, I'm busy right now. I'm like, why you giving me the runaround, yo? Like, didn't I play here? Ain't I from the church? Like, what's up? So to get through the story, man, he tells me to come back on Monday. I come back on Monday. Mr. Lorch has a check for me for $67,000 made out to Columbia Law School. So what you want me to say about that? He paid for me.
That's enough right there, fam.
So I have no law school debt and no undergraduate debt. Mr. Lorch paid for me to go to law school, straight up. Not Ray and Pookie, not Mr. Lorch did.
Do you practice law now?
I did for 17 years. I've been off and on. So I primarily worked as a securities lawyer.
Got you.
Right. And so,
Stu Barnett said, yo, remember Lawrence Frank told Tom about shooting in the drills at Five Star?
Yo. Lawrence Frank, I'm going to slow down. Lawrence Frank sold Skittles and sweatshirts at Five Star.
Wow.
Like shooting drills? I was there, bro. Nah, knock it off. Lawrence Frank went from selling Skittles and sweatshirts. Like, what you want? You want the 5-star joint with the orange and white or the gray and orange? Which one you need?
How did he get to become a NBA coach?
5-star. They fired Byron Scott and made him the head coach. He's the general manager of the Clippers. I just saw him at the Georgetown.
I don't want to turn into a whole race thing, but like these guys get so many chances, yo.
5-star. The 5-star. Like look, you know how in the Wizard of Oz, when Oz had a really big voice, and then you go behind the curtain and you see Oz is a little dude, that's 5-star. Everybody that I saw, like those coaches, like I met Bruiser Flint at 5-star. I met Calipari at 5-star. I met Rick Pitino at 5-star. I met Seth Greenberg at 5-star. So when they see me, they don't give me the wugga wugga talk because they know I know because I was there. Like, so Jerry Stackhouse was a camper of mine. Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James were campers of mine. Lenny Cook was a camper when I was there. Stephon Marbury was a camper. Orlando Antigua. Like, we could just go Eddie Alisma. All of them. Like, even Charles Jones. Even, what's my man's name from Laughlin that graduated in 92? Sheldon Jefferson, who went to West Virginia. He's a Riverside guy. He was at 5-star. So I was there when the connection happened, but Jerry Stackhouse is from Kington, North Carolina.
Wow.
How does a kid from Kington, North Carolina start playing for Riverside in the early 90s? So Jerry Stackhouse got co-MVP of the All-Star game, but there's another brother named Malik Russell who went to Poly Prep and went to Notre Dame. Worst choice he could have made. Malik is a 6'9" point guard.
Wow.
Worst choice ever. He graduated.
Yeah, no, damn, not a good look for that.
It wasn't. And it was like, when kids were at camp, yeah, man. When kids were at camp, they would go on their visits over to the University of Pittsburgh. So when I was at 5-star, Calipari was an assistant coach at Pittsburgh right before he got the job at UMass. So the point guard that I was cooking at 5-star was Sean Miller. Sean Miller was the point guard of Pitt.
Right.
This is not like a made-up story. He was the point guard. He was doing Nestle's Crunch commercials. You remember all of that?
Yeah.
On the court, that was different, though. He didn't want to smoke. He didn't
want
to smoke. Yeah, so,
So what was it like for you to play? You played pro ball in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I was there for 3 months to talk to nice girls. And, I played for a team called the Ponce Lions, and I lived in a town called Rincon. So Rincon is near Mayagüez, and we were campeones de Puerto Rico. I took Spanish in high school, college.
Look, whether how short the experience in basketball and all the knowledge you have gathered, all the people you have met throughout your journey is very impressive, man. I know you've been keeping up with New York City basketball, right?
I have. A little bit.
What's your perception on New York City basketball today?
We're soft.
Okay.
We're soft. And I can say that I'm guilty of contributing to that because I allowed my son to go away to a boarding school. So I allowed my son, like with the drama and the street thing and the so-and-so, that has nothing to do with what you're going to do on the court. It's just like, how are you going to play in college and you can't shoot the ball and you can't dribble and you can't see your teammate running? And so there's some kids that can do that. But, like, there are some schools whose names I won't say, but, like, I very intentionally didn't send my son to some schools.
All right, so hold on. We're going to come back because I have 3 more questions, all right? And one real, one hopefully you answer. But I'm going to close out and I'm going to come right back in, all right?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Everybody goes,
Wow. Yo, please send me a picture of that, yo.
Yes, man.
Wow.
My guy, artist Jamel Powell, he used to play for Coach Granby at Jackson.
Okay.
So we definitely keeping that basketball brotherhood together, man. There's a few more questions I want to ask before we wrap this up, man. Touched on your thoughts on New York City basketball and your perception. What's your thoughts on Tom Kachowski?
Tom is a person with a very good memory. Tom is a person with a very good memory. I will say that. I say Tom is a nice guy. You know, I've seen him in a lot of places. I will now you're getting the lawyer voice. Okay. So, I will say that there are several other people that differ with his opinions about certain people who play basketball. One of my basketball mentors who has gone on to glory, who is no longer here, that coached at the Gauchos. Now, remember, I'm a Riverside guy, but I had a mentor from the Gauchos. And he was using my beloved brother in Christ, King Rice, as an example. King Rice was a McDonald's All-American. And
y'all know we lost to him in the state championship in '86. Don't bring up his name, but go ahead. Salute to King Rice, though.
Who was he playing against?
I just know we beat Kenny Anderson and them at 8 o'clock on Friday in overtime. Then we beat Long Island Lutheran in double overtime at 8 o'clock. And then they schedule us 12:30 the next day, Sunday, play against Binghamton.
Okay. So I think that Tom is, so again, my politically correct answer is I think that Tom has a very good memory. I think what one of my basketball mentors said is that their opinions about said players differed.
Okay. Hey, listen, yo, my guy K. Pennell said, "What's up?"
All right.
He has a basketball show as well from Virginia.
Okay.
If I'm correct.
Yep.
He said Pete is a great guy. No doubt. Okay. Who was the best high school, college, and pro player you played against? Only need 3. Best high school, best college, and best pro you ever played against.
Wow. The best high school player that I played against had to be Pearl Washington.
Okay.
The best college player. Wow, that's tough, man. That's really tough. The best college player that I played against was a brother named Terrence Bailey who went to Wagner. He went by me and dunked on everybody on my team at St. Francis. He dunked on their mama.
Definitely, Terrence. That's definitely Terrence Bailey.
Their cousins and them. You know, it was everybody. Best pro player that I played against had to be Kevin Johnson at UC Irvine. Because I remember Kevin did a jab step. I don't even remember the name of the team I played on, went out against them. He did a jab step once, twice, like inside the key lane, and took one dribble and dunked it on me. So Mr. Lorch told me this. I learned this. He said, if you haven't been embarrassed, had your shot stuck to the backboard or dunked on, you haven't played basketball enough.
Yo, let me tell you something. I tell people this all the time. What's up, Spice? Spice in the room. What up, Skip? Skip is in the room.
Okay.
I tell kids all the time, these kids nowadays are so afraid to play defense because they don't want to get shook, right? They don't want the crowd to go, ooh. They're scared of that.
Right.
If someone gets dunked on, they're like, yo, he just got dunked on. But I tell kids, you ain't playing if you ain't get shook to dunked on.
Right.
Like,
right.
What part of the game is that? You don't run away from those things. You face those things. Those are challenges you want to face.
And that's what, give me the ball back, let me go back at him. And I'm gonna put my guy on blast.
Can't do that in the NBA though.
No.
That's what Skip said.
I'm saying, like, so
I remember Skip.
So in college, one of my Riverside guys, so more his backcourt mate was more, I'm talking about Paco, right? So Carlton Screen. Paco, so
yes.
Rod Strickland, Rod was tough. Boo was tough. Boo did not want it with Paco at all. Not with Paco. It was Paco and Eric Leslie, Ice Leslie, in the backcourt. They did not want it with Paco. Remember, Paco played with Billy Donovan, right?
Let me tell you again, brother. I don't want to be like y'all well connected. Listen, Paco, my business partner is Larry.
Okay.
Paco's brother.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we all definitely connected.
So I remember being on the phone with Paco and Omar because Omar Morton and Paco were polar opposites, right? They grew up together. Yes. They played at the Sun Devils. They did the so-and-so. They played against each other in junior high school. So Paco was talking something. We were all out somewhere. So Paco was talking stuff to me. He was like, yeah, Pete. He was like, yo, Mr. Lord used to call you lard ass because you and Mo Kirby would be running up the court slow and do whatever. And I was like, yeah, that was cool. He was like, yo, remember that time Stu dunked on you at the church, so-and-so? And I was like, I said, yo, but Paco, do you remember the time that Jerome Lane broke a backboard on you?
That's right. Backboard? He was under the rim on that.
Broke the backboard, yo.
Yo, listen, I interviewed Malloy Naismith, and he said when he played against Paco and he did well, he knew he had a ride.
Right.
Right? Like Paco was the measuring stick for a lot of guards coming out of New York.
For sure. And his father was the all everything at
Yes.
Erasmus.
Coach. Now listen, I'm going to interview Coach Green very soon.
Okay.
From what I'm hearing, he was one of the greatest athletes to come out of Brooklyn.
Because he played for the Bonnies too. He played baseball too. He's in the Bonnies Hall of Fame.
So we definitely gonna touch on that for sure. And that's my god dad, so we gotta do that. With all this knowledge of the game, are you passing the torch down to any of your children?
I have. My younger son. And the thing is that he is, the thing that scares me about him is that, so what's happening is he's going straight to a Division II school, right?
Yes.
And I'm not going to say the school. I'll tell you the school offline. But here's the thing.
Yeah, you told me. I got you.
He's an athlete. So Elijah runs 10 miles a day. And he's bouncy. And he plays basketball. And it's a scary combination because he's probably 6'1.5", but he'll try you. And I'm like, okay. And he looks like a superhero, a figurine kind of, because he's all cut up and all whatever. And he's like, oh, Dad, I hear the old stories about how you guys used to be able to play. And so to what you were saying about Carlton Screen Sr.,
yes,
in New York, it's not okay to be an athlete. You have to be a basketball player or a baseball player. You have to be a football player or a soccer player. So one of the reasons I wanted to get him out of here is because he's an athlete. So I know my wife told me that he runs 4-minute and 31-second miles right now before he starts college tomorrow online until they get to school.
Right.
So I did pass it down. My older son, he wasn't interested.
Got you.
Wasn't interested.
That worked. Somebody's going to, take the baton and get it to the finish line. So that works. That works, man. So what do you do now with the Brooklyn Scholars athletes?
Brooklyn Scholar Athletes and the Brooklyn Kings. So what we did is, so the Brooklyn Kings is the basketball arm, and the Brooklyn Lady Stars is the female arm. So the coach of the Brooklyn Stars is also the coach at Bishop Laughlin's girls team. So he coaches girls at Bishop Laughlin. So what we do is we bring kids in and we kind of dangle the basketball as kind of a carrot. But what we try to do is get them into good academic situations. So this year, I think we got about maybe 8 or 9 kids into boarding schools. And so, you know, what did it for me with the boarding schools is what I realized is that, you know, you look at and there's nothing wrong if you want to send your kid to Brooklyn Tech or, you know, or Stuyvesant or Boys High or whatever, you know, that's okay. Or a Laughlin or Christ the King, that's one thing. But academically, what I was finding is that the people that I was meeting at Columbia Law School were the people from these schools. They weren't coming from Laughlin. They weren't coming from Malloy. And so having that, so we try to put kids in situations where they can win. And knowing that the schools have money and that they're looking for Black and brown kids who can be successful there. The other piece is that the average class size is 6 to 8 kids. So if you go to Brooklyn Tech during COVID, they have 6,000 people there. You know, my kid's not going to school, right?
Right,
so
right.
My son's school, his largest class while he was there for 4 years was 11 people. And then so on the money side, at my son's school, which is called the Church Farm School, right? They were low in terms of their endowment, and they had $149 million. That's their endowment. So
wow.
I helped the myself and a couple other brothers helped the Brooklyn DA's son get into Exeter, which is the #1 school in the country.
Yes.
Shout out to John Forte, who got that presidential pardon because he went to Exeter.
Wow, that's very true. Very true.
He got a presidential pardon because he went to Exeter. True story. Exeter is a high school, and they have a $2.5 billion endowment. So if your son has a Canadian Goose coat and 2 pairs of Jordans, you could send them to Exeter. I don't want to hear like, you know. And so the people that we get into these schools typically are paying less than they pay to go to Malloy. So if you could pay $7,000 for your kid to go to a school that has a heliport where they're going to be going to Greece for the summer, I choose that. And as I said, like, I'm from Brooklyn, I'm from here. I know Pookie already. Pookie's cool, but maybe Pookie might not be able to help me get to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like as a practicing attorney, one of the firms that I work for is a place called Proskauer Rose. So Proskauer Rose does all the work for the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. And so that's where David Stern came from, and that's where the current NBA commissioner came from. So when you understand the inner workings of how that stuff, you know, goes, like some of my boys who were still playing ball once I was still in law school and getting out, you know, they were still playing on the scene at Rucker and whatever. And I'm not saying that what I was doing was better then, but I was playing on the Lawyers League team with Andrew Cuomo and with Chris Cuomo. So we played together for 10 years. So now, you know, Chris is on CNN now, and Andrew's the governor. But I was with them for 10 years.
Making those connections.
Right.
That's
so
right.
It's about building that. It's about building that. And not that mine is better than somebody else's, but this is about us moving forward and upward and onward.
That's dope, brother. That's dope. So we have come full circle in your journey of basketball.
Yes, sir.
I know we had to leave out some things, but we're going to be around. So
yes, sir. And I appreciate it.
When we bring you back, hopefully we can reveal some of those stories. All right? And I'm going to do a open forum when we get into the studio, bring some guys down, and we just going to chop it up about New York City basketball. And hopefully some of those stories can come out then. But I'm definitely looking forward to chopping it up with you again.
I appreciate it, man.
All right? Appreciate you for coming on. And this is the part of the show where you get to nominate someone to be on the show. Already mentioned to a few people I want you to get.
Oh,
so
that's easy. That's easy. I got you ready? Stu Barnett.
Huh?
Stu Barnett.
Stu Barnett is definitely he started following me yesterday or today, man. So we definitely gonna get him on the show. Stu Barnett for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Stu Barnett. He's a Riverside guy for real.
Yes.
And just so you know, I want to say this publicly. Like back in the day when people said, "Oh, yo, man, who do you play for?" You said, "Yo, I play for Riverside." See, that's not what we said. We said, "I play for the church."
That's right. That's right.
So if you said you played for Riverside, you didn't.
That's right. Hey, contact Roger McCready for me as well, man. I appreciate that.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Send me your address and stuff so I can see you this picture.
Thank you, brother.
All right. And it's a pleasure talking to you, man.
Likewise.
You know, my guy Pat was like, "Yo, you got to talk to my guy Pete, man. Like he's official." You know what I'm saying? Like Pat, like he told the truth. You know what I'm saying?
If he's my guy, why he let me get dunked on like that, yo? Why did he move out the way, yo?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate you as well.
You know what I'm saying? Your picture again.
Wow. Wow.
Nigga, you taking your jump shot? What you do?
Wow, that's crazy, yo. Wow. That is incredible, man.
All right, my brother.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
All right, appreciate you.
Peace.